we both called it right here, and it seems like people weren't seeing what we were seeing, but this is a clear tendency, a clear path to victory for Daniel Rodriguez, but this is kind of the same story written over and over again for Kevin Lee, man. I always say it. First round, Kevin Lee is one of the most dangerous men on the planet. Round and a half, actually. Second and a half to the end of the things start falling off. Things start getting weird. And D-Rod said it himself in the post-fight presser. He says, yeah, after I survived the first round, I knew he was done. Like, this dude, I already heard he has you said it earlier. It's interesting. A defeatist mentality. Never really heard something like that. But that's basically the story of Kevin Lee, right? Where if things start going in a bad way, in a negative trajectory, he doesn't really have the mental fortitude to turn things back around, flip it back around. Now he did against, what's the fight where he did the chicken dance? He did the chicken dance in this fight, but he did the chicken dance where he got caught with the head kick, but he ended up winning the fight.
I believe it was Barboza.
It was Barboza, yeah. But I think he won that fight still, regardless, right? So he did it there, but it's like, man, you could beat the Barbosas of the world. He got like big wins over a couple different names, but then you lose to Daniel Rodriguez on 2 weeks' notice. It's interesting, nonetheless, but give me your take overall, man. Daniel Rodriguez looked so impressive, but I'm curious to know, do you think Kevin Lee how did he look? Man, 17 months off, you know what I'm saying? Did he look like the Kevin Lee of old? Give me your take.
He looked more like the Kevin Lee of old than the Kevin Lee that fought Gregor Gillespie. And it might have just been because he got Gregor Gillespie out of there in the first round. So that's why he was looking like an absolute savage. But I was honestly expecting a little bit more out of Kevin Lee. It was pretty, a little back and forth, definitely to start. But then D-Rod just started taking over, started putting that pressure on him. And it kind of went how we were saying it was going to go. Like you said, Kevin Lee hit a chicken leg dance for the second time. But he survived it. He was able to survive it instead of getting knocked out, which, I mean, all credit to Kevin Lee. Most of the time when all of us started hitting the chicken leg in the gym, we just stopped. We're done after that. We're going to sleep. It's you're basically dead to rights. But man, like I said, I don't think Kevin Lee, there's something with him, and he's probably another one of those fighters we were talking about in the pre-show where it's either his night or it's not. He's either game and he's a dog and he's gonna fight, or he's just gonna go out there and perform, and it's just a bout instead of an actual scrap. Kevin Lee looked really good in the first, didn't really kind of petered off towards that, and I do think it's a mentality issue for Kevin Lee, not necessarily a skill issue. Give him the mentality of any GSP or any of these Michael Bisping, somebody who's an actual dog in there and actually able to mentally overcome things. And I think he's an absolute superstar. That being said, his mentality does you said, you quoted me saying a defeatist mentality, and he really does have that game where his mind kind of falters first before his skills, and it's sad to see because this very much so, even though we're scrapping hands and feet, it's a mental game in there and it's a mental warfare. And we even saw with another fight we'll talk about in a bit with the Tercios high stand fight, round 1 and 2, those were about, Brady Tercios, in my opinion, was doing a lot better. And then the dog came out, and that's when it was a fight. And it seems like when the fight happens, Kevin Lee kind of falters. It's sad to say, and I thought he was going to be looking a lot better with the TriStar logo behind him. Rough to see, but all credit to D-Rod, man. He put out a show and he didn't falter one bit, kept the energy up, and looked really good in there. What do you think?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you, man. Now, ultimately, this is the question we have to ask. Can you ever, can people downplay, can you sleep on Daniel Rodriguez at this point? I feel like now he is broken clear into the realm of top 15 welterweights, right? But then again, Kevin Lee, I mean, he's not a welterweight, bro. That size was pretty apparent, especially round 2, round 3, when Rodriguez was able to just kind of push him away, get off of me, bro. You saw that size was a real difference. And Kevin Lee in the weigh-ins called Daniel Rodriguez little. He was like, oh, you looking up at him. He was like, oh, you little. You know what I'm saying? And D-Rod says, oh, I had a little chip on my shoulder because he said that. He was like, he must have forgot I was dehydrated, bro, because I was way heavier come fight night. You know what I'm saying? So just answer that just in a simple, quick sentence for me. Can you sleep on Daniel Rodriguez ever again at this point?
Unfortunately, I think he left the door open to be slept on a little bit because he was very much the bigger fighter, and he did not put Kevin Lee away even after he gave him the chicken legs. So maybe a little bit. we might see a little bit of sleep on him. I'm not going to be sleeping on D-Rod anymore. I think he's an absolute killer in there, but I can see the casuals doing it for sure.
Yeah, well, clearly we both picked Rodriguez to win, so we saw something that most people didn't, because Kevin Lee finished as a betting favorite. But I will say the door is open for interpretation. So D-Rod maybe have to get another one against a ranked one to finally get the big win, kind of like how Chikadze had to finally get over Barbosa. For now, people are like, okay, you can't doubt the man anymore. But nonetheless, big win for D-Rod. And